Hi, I'm Daniel with Sport Aircraft Seats. In this video, we will cover how to tear down and prep your seat frames before installing your new upholstery. This is part one of our seat reupholstery series. This teardown process is applicable to both Cessna and Piper seat frame models. If you are the owner of the aircraft and plan to do the installation yourself, you will need to talk to your mechanic prior to starting the process. This is a minor alteration, but will need a mechanic sign-off. They should also inspect the frames after the old upholstery is removed and prior to installing the new upholstery. The teardown is a three-step process. First, we will remove the upholstery. Then we will have our mechanic inspect the frames. And lastly, we will paint or powder coat the frames. Let's get started. You will need the following items: a pair of pliers, a pick or screwdriver, a knife, acetone, paper towels, a rag, and some clamps. Before removing the upholstery, it might help to adjust your seat so that you can access all the necessary areas. For example, this articulating seat can be raised up to make the bottom of the seat more accessible. We will start by removing the upholstery. You can use a knife to cut the upholstery open. Then use a screwdriver and pliers to remove the sections that are glued to the frame. The goal is to get everything stripped off until all that is left is the structural part of the frame. You may have plastic or aluminum trim panels that are strictly cosmetic. These will be removed as well. Once you have removed the upholstery, you may have springs attached to your seat frame. We recommend removing the springs since they provide poor support. Notice how much of an arc is created when pressure is applied to them. Our webbing is designed to remedy this. It helps maintain the contour of the foam and lumbar support. For a PA-28 aircraft that has a passenger bench seat, do not remove the springs from the base. We will cover this more in the second video of the series. Step 2, inspecting the frames. If you are doing this teardown and are not the mechanic, this is the time to take the seats to your mechanic and have them inspected. It is highly important that the seat frames are thoroughly inspected and repaired. The mechanic can also help you determine whether you should powder coat or paint the frames. The following is an excerpt from our video about seat frame repair. Our AMP-IA talks about some of the common mechanical issues with seat frames.
Yeah, so we got one of these Cessna fully articulating seats here. When we got the upholstery all off of it, it's a good time to kind of look it over. One of the things I always look for on these is cracks in the corners of the back here. The other thing to look for is these legs on the seat. They're prone to cracking in the corners of this channel right here. All four of those corners on each leg. It's real important to look at this little clevis pin right here, because that's what holds the back of the seat up. I have some here that are worn almost completely through, and it's not that easy to see them. It's easy to overlook. What you want to do is fix all these problems before you paint it. But before you glue your backings on, you may want to paint these frames. When I rebuild one of these, I take it completely apart. I send the parts to powder coating that can be powder coated, but there's a few parts that cannot be powder coated. It's a real process taking one of these apart and getting it powder coated. So if your seat base is in pretty good shape, sometimes the best bet on that is just kind of clean it up and paint it as best you can. Yeah, so we have the square back steel frame Cessna seats here. These seats, the original upholstery like this, it has a skirt in here. That's actually what limits the upward travel of this. When you put on your sport aircraft seat upholstery, this comes off. It's a weight savings. But then there's nothing to keep this thing from coming clear out of the foot there, because that skirt limited the upward travel. So I've seen several solutions for that problem. When I overhaul one of these seats, I have a nice little bracket that I put in here with kind of a guide and like a plastic piece that it rides in, and it limits the upward travel and also keeps it from side loading that way, like that. It's really nice. Another way that I've seen that is to drill a small hole in this pin here and put a little roll pin or a cotter pin in it to keep it from coming up too far. So if you're going to send this seat off to powder coating, you have to take the handle off before you would powder coat it, because the handle's plastic and it would melt in the powder coat oven. You want to take the rollers out before you send it to powder coating or before you paint it, because you don't want paint on the rollers. And I usually don't powder coat the spring either.
Step 3, painting. The first step to painting is to strip the glue off the frame. If you plan to powder coat your seats, you can skip this step. Most powder coating shops will do this for you. Also, if you aren't planning to paint your frames, you will still need to strip the glue prior to installing the covers. Soak paper towels or rags in acetone and clamp them to the frame. Wait a few minutes before removing them. The glue should come off easily with a rag. Repeat this process until all the glue is removed. Once finished, you are ready to paint. It is important to use a 2-component epoxy paint. In the next step, we will glue webbings to the seat frames. If you use normal rattle can paint, the glue will melt the paint and the webbings will not hold. Epoxy paint has 2 components that, when combined, create a reaction that hardens them. Therefore, it will withstand the chemicals within the glue. You can get 2-component paint in a rattle can. The cans will have an activator inside of them that can be released by pushing the button on the bottom of the can. Once activated, the can is only good for 24 hours, so use it immediately. Alright, that's it. Your seat frames are now painted and ready for your sport aircraft seats upholstery. Feel free to call us with any questions you may have. Also, if you find this content helpful, we have an extensive library of aircraft seat related tutorials on our website at sportaircraftseats.com. Thank you for watching.